Hi, I'm Holly from South Carolina. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and in the meantime, I'll tell you my story. I dreamed of becoming a singer since the day I was born. When I was so little that I couldn't even walk properly or pronounce all the letters, I was hitting such high notes when crying that all the neighbors were running to listen to me holler. And they said I was gifted. But for some reason, Dad ignored my talent, and when I got a little older, he tried to direct these creative impulses to a more constructive outlet. For example, washing the dishes, cleaning my room, or mowing the lawn. It got even worse when Dad's best friend and his son Eustace came to our town from Belgium, where my parents were from. And Dad was talking about this guy for days on end. I couldn't handle all the preaching. Holly, look how smart Eustace is! He just moved, but he already got adjusted at school and won the robotics competition. Take a cue! Dad said to me patronizingly, and sometimes he just completely went too far. Holly, Eustace is going to be a biophysicist. That is such a promising industry, and the career of a singer that you're dreaming of is so silly. I'm convinced you should think about it and change your life priorities in time. And stop hanging on the phone with your stupid friends all the time. You should go to the park with Eustace and show him the town. Maybe you'll get a little smarter in that boy's company. I obediently went to the park with Eustace, but a real hurricane of emotions raged inside me. Moreover, the son of my dad's friend didn't seem all that smart to me. He was staring at me with round, saucer-like eyes and smiling disgustedly with his toothless mouth. His front baby teeth had just fallen out. And the worst thing was that he constantly teased me and called me a skunk. And once he put chewing gum in my hair, and I had to cut out a whole chunk. Oh, I was really mad at him. And to be honest, he was kind of weird. Once I was loudly discussing my favorite singer's new album with a friend. We were gesticulating vigorously, swinging our arms and arguing loudly. But it wasn't even arguing, it was a friendly, constructive discussion. Suddenly, Eustace showed up out of nowhere and gave my friend a real hearty slap upside the head. It turned out to be so hard that my friend got a squint in his left eye and had to be taken to his disposal urgently. Naturally, I called Eustace a psycho, to which the son of my dad's friend replied, "Holly, that idiot swung at you so aggressively, I thought you were in danger. I was genuinely scared for you and wanted to help. I'm sorry it turned out like this." I didn't answer, I just rolled my eyes. And I was very happy when Eustace and his father hit the road to Belgium. Finally, I got to chill and relax a little. But it wasn't that long of a chill. When I turned 14, my dad told me some exciting news. Grandpa was coming. Well, for starters, I didn't even know I had a grandpa. I mean, there obviously was a biological grandfather, but my parents never mentioned him. Secondly, my mom reacted very unexpectedly to this news. I heard her sobbing all night, and my dad was consoling her. I understood that eavesdropping on adult conversations is not nice, but that was a special occasion. I've never seen my mom so upset. Honey, be patient just for 1 week. I understand that he's a difficult person who caused us a lot of pain, but he's the only father I have, and I'm ready to forgive him. Do it for Holly. She must know her grandfather. My dad tried to convince my mom, but she kept crying. I understood everything and don't mind your reunion, but you have to understand me too. I'm not ready to see this man, so I'll live at my friend's place while he's here, Mom said firmly. Of course, I couldn't ask my parents what the matter was. Then I'd have to confess that I overheard their conversation, and of course I would get scolded for it. Therefore, I decided to simply observe the events unravel and think for myself. And I love watching people and analyzing their actions. My grandfather turned out to be a very impressive and youthful man who cared about his appearance a lot. He was clean-shaven and smartly dressed. The spit-polished boots alone were saying something. And when he entered the room, everyone was enveloped by the smell of expensive perfume and cigars. His demeanor and conversational style were also excellent. There was a feeling that this was some kind of Hollywood movie director at least. As they say now, he smelled like big money. Mom moved to her friend's house as she promised, so I met my relative together with my dad, who, by the way, also behaved somewhat unusually constrained and tense. And I, with all my spontaneity, hung on my grandfather's neck when we met, and he didn't do anything bad to me. I know you're gonna laugh, but I'll confess to you, at that moment I was smelling my grandfather. Yes, I fell in love with the smell of cigars and perfume, which seemed to be from some other world. I enjoyed that scent so much. I wouldn't shut up telling my grandfather about my dreams, secrets, school troubles, and first unanswered love. It seemed to me that no one in the world could listen as attentively as he did. My always busy parents usually lectured me when I was getting frank with them, but more often they were trying to get rid of me and send me off to do my thing. But I understand, and I don't blame them for not having time. They worked hard for me to have everything I needed. But my grandfather, I sincerely believed that I'd met my soulmate. The week flew by like one day, and I was terribly upset about it, till I accidentally heard a debate between my dad and grandfather, which was coming from the living room. They spoke in slightly raised voices. "You didn't see Holly growing up, and you have no idea that she was born, and now you're saying that you know what's best for her?" Dad was outraged, and grandfather answered, "We all make mistakes, and I've asked for your forgiveness more than once. Do you want me to get on my knees? I just want a better future for Holly. Let her stay with me for as long as she wants. This is an opportunity to meet influential people and choose the right path in life, and then I promise you, I'll pay for any college she wants to go to. No offense, but you and your wife can't handle it financially." Live with my grandfather in Belgium? Wow, I couldn't imagine that in my wildest dreams. Hearing this amazing news, I flew into the room and yelled with happiness. Yes, 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 1,000 times, yes! I would love to stay at Grandpa's. My joyful cries became the very main argument that solved the dispute in Grandpa's favor. Dad just shrugged and surrendered. I immediately ran to pack my bags, looking forward to the trip. The next day before the flight, Dad said to me, "Baby, if anything goes wrong, call me anytime. Remember, you can always buy a ticket back. Mom and I love you very much, and we're gonna miss you." I hugged him tightly, but his parting words immediately flew out of my head, and I hung on my grandfather's arm. I had an exciting journey ahead of me. It was the first time I'd left my town, and the first time I was flying on a plane, and a private flight as well. Oh, all my girlfriends would be kicking themselves with envy when I told them everything. At the Belgian airport, we were met by my grandfather's personal driver and taken to a chic mansion in a huge limousine. It's hard to describe all this luxury in which I now had to live. I felt like I was in a movie, and it's not happening to me. My room was bigger than my parents' entire apartment. Can you even imagine? And the built-in walk-in closet with a huge jacuzzi tub that looked like a small pool made me drool. I immediately took a couple of selfies against the background of all this splendor and posted them on Instagram. I think the girls turned green with envy. And the coolest news was that Grandpa promised that when I got my license, he'd buy me a car. I can't wait. But everything seemed not so cloudless when Grandpa introduced me to my uncle, my dad's brother. I trust my intuition. It rarely deceives me, and this man made a very unpleasant impression on me. He was piercing me with his small, shifty eyes, as if he was examining all my insides under a magnifying glass, and he was asking strange questions. For example, how much my parents were making and what caused my sudden arrival, as if he was looking for some hidden meaning or a catch. And at dinner, my grandfather introduced me to my cousin Katrine, my uncle's daughter. She reacted to my arrival just as warily as father. She looked at me from under her brows and answered my questions in 1 to 2 word sentences. I was so tired of keeping the conversation up and smiling sweetly that by the end of dinner I just stopped talking. The silence reigned in the richly furnished dining room. Grandfather unsuccessfully tried to brighten things up with his remarks. And then I remembered our cheerful breakfasts and dinners in a cramped and poor, but such a cozy apartment of my parents. The way my dad joked sweetly and Mom put the delicious pieces of food on my plate, the warm atmosphere where love reigned, really contrasted with the icy cold aura my new relatives had. But I didn't take it personally. Moreover, Grandpa was there for me, and my parents were on the phone anytime. I thought more about the fact that I had to go to a new school, and that was the real test. Naturally, my cousin ignored my grandfather asking her to help me settle in the new place. Yeah, I didn't really expect her to. And imagine my happiness when I saw a familiar face in the class. It was Eustace, the same Eustace who called me a skunk when we were kids. To be honest, he looked exactly like my crush, whom I fell in love with back in South Carolina. Broad-shouldered, tall, and light blue eyes and a nose with an aristocratic hump. Well, you got it. I was crushing again. Eustace recognized me and was just as happy to see me. "Holly, I acted like a fool as a child because I was in love with you. And judging by the way my heart is pounding right now, nothing has changed since then. You're so—" Eustace didn't finish the last sentence and blushed deeply. And this was the beginning, or rather the continuation, of our beautiful romantic story. Eustace started walking me home after school and kissing me goodbye. Katrine watched this from the balcony and most likely told her father about my relationship, and my new relatives staged a huge scandal about us. You must send her back. This nasty girl will ruin our family's reputation. She just got here and she's already fooling around with some guy. What a perfect beginning. She's the spitting image of her mother. Dirty blood. I know she came here to rob us, Uncle shouted, spattering spit at Grandpa. Don't you dare talk about my mom like that, I screamed and ran to my room to pack my things. Yes, I wasn't going to endure the company of people who spoke about my parents that way. And no luxury can make me stay here even for a minute longer. Sure, I don't want to part with my grandfather, but this is beyond me. Meanwhile, Grandpa knocked on my door and entered quietly. Holly, I want to apologize for your uncle's behavior. I understand that this story has too many mysteries for you, and I should have told you everything from the very beginning. And he began his sad story. Turns out that Dad, Uncle, and Mom grew up together in this house. Mom was the gardener's daughter, and Grandfather treated her like his own. When they grew up, both brothers fell in love with her, and she chose my dad. Out of jealousy, my uncle began to spread dirty rumors about my mom and accused her of stealing a huge amount of money. Grandpa believed this nonsense and kicked my mom out of the house, and Dad followed her. When it turned out that my uncle had lied, my parents had already stopped communicating with Grandpa, and now after many years, he managed to find us. Holly, I'm very ashamed that I acted so heartlessly with your mother. I'm sorry I didn't hear your first word and didn't see your first steps. I understand that my son, your uncle, insulted all the people you love. But still, I ask you to stay with me, my grandfather sincerely asked. But I didn't. And not because I held some kind of grudge. I just wanted to be close to the people most dear to me, my parents, who despite my uncle's intrigues and lack of money, saved their love. It's really admirable. Grandpa began to visit us often and even asked my mom for forgiveness, and she forgave him. By the way, Eustace also started visiting my town. Of course, he was upset when I left Belgium. But the distance only made our love stronger. And after high school, we chose the same college and never parted again.